Yo, so this here is the Vengeance a7500 gaming PC, which is a pre-built from Corsair. Now, I do have a custom PC rig in my office that I love, but Corsair reached out to me to review this and I thought it'd be interesting to check out. I surprised my brother with this PC for the holidays, and for about a month we've been gaming together on this PC. In today's video, I want to talk about whether buying a pre-built PC makes sense in 2025, and talk about the overall experience I've had with this PC from Corsair. So to start off, the biggest benefit of a pre-built like this is that it's really just plug and play. We unboxed the PC and within a half an hour it was hooked up to the monitor and ready to play games. This alone is why a lot of people go for pre-builts. If you're looking to build one on your own, you'll need to carve out at least a day on the weekend to building and troubleshooting. If you're doing this for the first time, you'll want to have a few hours of uninterrupted time where you can just focus on building, because every time I've built or even just upgraded my PC, something has gone wrong. For me, it's actually a very fun process, which is why I prefer building systems on my own. But first off, just ask yourself whether or not you want to go through it. That said though, it's really not hard, especially with the amount of YouTube tutorials out there, so as long as you're prepared to mess up, you'll be fine. Now, with pre-built PCs, the biggest problem you'll run into is quality control. Luckily, I've had no issues with this Corsair PC, but you want to look out for things like low quality fans and coolers, along with weak power supplies. Inside of this PC, we have an AMD Ryzen 5 9600X, a 4060 Ti, 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, and a 1TB SSD. The power supply being used is a 650 watt 80 plus gold from Corsair, which seems to be similar to the ones you can buy out on your own, and I've personally used some of those in the past without issues. There's not much info about the motherboard being used here, other than it's a B650. The case is the Corsair 3500X ARGB mid-tower, which I think looks pretty clean. A lot of times pre-builds have ugly cases, and while this wouldn't be my first pick if I were building a system, with the side panel closed up, it's a pretty sleek build, so no complaints there. Having this 4060 Ti and a Ryzen 5 9600X, games will run quite well. This is a rig that's going to perform very well for 1440p. That said, most of the testing I did was with 4K, and that still runs great. At that resolution, you're of course not getting 100 FPS, but in most games you're still having a smooth experience, which for my brother coming from console is completely fine. One of the pros of the case that's being used here is that, at least from first glance, it seems pretty easy to upgrade. Swapping out the motherboard later to get a new CPU and drop in an upgraded GPU isn't something that's very difficult, and is the route I would recommend for most people. You get the benefit of the time and headache saving of the initial build, and later on upgrades like those I mentioned aren't too bad. As far as cable management goes, it's surprisingly good. Opening up the back of the case, you can see they're neatly set up, so messing around in here wouldn't be a terrible time. Now, the reason to skip buying a system like this and just build it yourself is the cost savings. Pre-builts have markups of hundreds of dollars and aren't always built with the best components. You can build an equivalent PC in terms of specs and often have it look much better while still having spent less. You can then take those cost savings and buy more games, or invest a little extra into some more RAM, a beefier graphics card, etc. Just spending 20 minutes on Amazon looking up parts, I was able to pick out all of the equivalent components that in my opinion would make this build look a lot better, and they totaled up to $1,564.90. You could definitely save more money if you shopped around for cheaper RAM, along with a different case and fans, but this just goes to show you the amount of money you can easily save custom building versus going for a pre-built. This route alone saves you over $330. If you're not feeling confident building your first PC, I highly recommend checking out several PC build guides to get a hang of the process. That said, if after that you're okay with spending a few $100s for the convenience of a pre-built, I definitely feel comfortable recommending this rig from Corsair. The parts being used here are definitely some of the more high quality ones I've seen in any pre-builts. The power supply is the RM650, which is almost identical to the one I used in my first rig, and the cable management is enough that I'd feel confident making upgrades in the future. Let me know down below what you think of this Vengeance a7500 PC, and huge thanks to Corsair for sending it out. Appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.